Michael Jordan. The legend of MJ is hard to quantify.
Athletes have been chasing his ghost for years, but one night in 1996,
for growth, the injuries can be used as a cop-out at this point.
Michael Jordan missed a free throw on purpose in crunch time in a crucial Game 4 in the playoffs. And no, it was not to get the rebound and the putback. It actually hurt his team, but it was genius. Michael Jordan is possibly the greatest scorer of all time. 10 scoring titles, most points in a single playoff run, so even players at the game were confused.
He had 2 free throws at the end of the game. He hit the first one and missed the second one on purpose. He was like, what the f*** you doing?
So, how do we get here? I'm gonna break down the 3 steps to Jordan's master plan and how it completely changed the NBA as we know it. Starting with one of the biggest plot twists in NBA history. What is up, dudes, that's ballers players? It's your boy MJ. To understand how, we need to first understand what was on the line. In 1993, Jordan was on top of the NBA world. 3 consecutive NBA championships, which involved being the greatest point guard at the time, Magic Johnson, the supposed other best shooting guard in the game, Clyde Drexler, and beating one of the other best players in the league, Charles Barkley, playing mind games with him golfing, averaging 41 points in the finals. You see, Jordan was already considered to be the greatest player ever by many people at the time. 3 MVPs, 7 straight scoring titles, 1 Defensive Player of the Year, undoubtedly the best modern player ever. But then, Jordan shocked the entire world.
It's time for me to move away from the game of basketball. It's not because I don't love the game. I love the game of basketball, I always will. I just feel that at this particular time in my career, I've reached the pinnacle of my career. I've achieved a lot in that short amount of time, if you want to call it short. But I just feel that I don't have anything else for myself to prove.
He retired right after winning a championship at only 30 years old, and it stunned everyone.
And this was piece number 1. Jordan left basketball at the top of the game.
Now, there are conspiracies, rumors of why Jordan stepped away from the game, including gambling issues, but the official statement was that he stepped away to pursue a more normal life after his father was murdered, and that his father wanted him to play baseball, so that's what he was gonna do. That entire subject matter could be a video by itself, but it doesn't change what happened. Jordan would commit to playing baseball wearing number 45 to honor his dad's favorite number, and was pretty bad.
What the hell was that?
He played in AA, batted .202, struck out 114 times, and Sports Illustrated begged Jordan to stop playing because he was embarrassing the sport. While some said he could eventually make the MLB, it's irrelevant.
I'm trying to get to that one night as soon as possible.
But Jordan was dedicated in transforming himself into a baseball athlete. He would go to batting practice 5 times a day. Based on the coaches, his hands were blistered and bleeding. His intensity was off the charts. Basketball and baseball have very different twitch muscle fibers activated, going from a contact sport with bursts and stops, jumping at the center, to a non-contact sport, more reaction-based, hip-generating power, being bulkier. Sure, there are certain things that carry over if you're an athlete, but to be the best at a sport, you need to train a different set of attributes to the top. It's like the ring pentagram, and Jordan was reworking it for a year and a half towards baseball attributes. And then he shocked the world again. On March 8, 1995, Jordan released 2 words to the public.
It read,
"I'm back." And the next day, on March 19th, he played his first NBA game quite literally over 50 games into the season. It all happened so quickly. There was a baseball strike, Scottie Pippen was trying to be traded, all which prompted Jordan to make a quicker decision with just 2 practices with the Bulls. So against the Pacers, MJ is rusty. He shot 7 of 28 from the field.
Not just bad,
Terrible.
Aura was there, basketball skills, not as much, but understandable. It was similar to returning from a brutal long injury, except Jordan hadn't put in the work to rehab yet. There's a whole article from The Athletic from the perspective of Jordan's trainer, Tim Grover, who talked about the 1995 comeback and specifically told Jordan there is not enough time to transition your body from a basketball to a baseball back into the basketball player that you want to be. Jordan put on an additional 15 pounds playing baseball, and so everything about him was off, and other players were beginning to realize. Again, for context, we're talking about Michael Jordan, who players feared.
It's like, you should be talking to him. It's like, you know, you're right. Michael, who do you think you are? He kind of looks at me and starts shaking his head. So at half, I have 10, and he has 4 points. Right? At the end of the game, in the second half, he ended up with 44. And I ended up with 12. He's like, be careful, you never talk to Black Jesus like that.
But JR is having a good game. So as we come out the timeout, yo, keep killing that nigga, yo. So as I'm walking off, nigga right here, Mike can hear me. So as I say that, I feel it. Hands on hips, legs locked. Nigga stared at me for about 15 seconds. I can't even really describe the next like 6 to 7 minutes of play. We down 25 now, it was just at 2. Mike had 18, he had like 40. I was like, JR, remember never talk shit to Mike ever again in life.
This was no joke, bro. If KG's saying that, and he'd be saying a lot of wild stuff to trash talk, not intimidated of anyone, you know it's real. Jordan would play 17 games, finishing up the season, averaging 26.9 points, but only 41% from the field. Solid, but the worst we had seen Jordan ever. And just 1 month and 10 days after coming back, he was playing his first game in the playoffs. But that game, he drops 48 points and all looks normal. The Bulls get to the second round versus Shaq, Penny, Nick Anderson, and the Magic. This squad is deep. Shaq led the league in scoring, Penny was a menace, and game 1 is where it all changed.
And that's piece number 2. The 1995 playoffs were a wake-up call to Jordan and the NBA.
One extremely crucial piece of information to understand what happens next is that Jordan is wearing number 45, not number 23. Number 23 has a lot of significance now. It's what LeBron chose to wear because he was inspired by Michael Jordan. It's all over Jordan's shoes. 23 is almost synonymous with GOAT, and it has soaked in that Jordan aura and has aura itself. But 45, it's still Jordan, right?
That's exactly what it was.
Donovan Mitchell wears 45 because of Jordan too, so it can't be for nothing. Game 1 starts, and this is what Brian Shaw, who was on that Magic team, was thinking at the time.
So once we got to him, he was wearing number 45. It wasn't the same.
It wasn't the same,
right?
MJ, huh?
And in the final 4 minutes, it's a 1-point game. Now, the Magic were doubling Jordan. They were selling out. But Jordan couldn't score. The game would be close down to the last shot. The Bulls up 91-90. Jordan brings up the ball and
91-90 the score. Chicago with the lead with 18 and 1/10 seconds to play.
And Jordan spinning his way against Anderson. Here comes Hardaway for grabs.
And then the Bulls were unable to come up with anything in the last 6 seconds, and the Magic would win the game. Jordan had choked, something that no one had really seen. People couldn't even comprehend. He went 8 of 22 for the game with 19 points. Disappointing for him, Scottie only had 7 points on 2 of 11 shooting. It was a disaster. And Nick Anderson, who had been on the receiving end of many Jordan performances, Nick Anderson, who had stolen the ball from Michael Jordan in the final moments, he was feeling himself. Feeling Jordan wasn't invincible anymore, said this.
He was like 45, isn't 23. Oh, man.
Damn, that's wild. And in game 2,
He comes out, keeps his top on, got his pants off, shorts on. Boy, both teams broke out of the huddles. Coming to the court, that motherfucker took out that damn thing. I saw 2-3. I said, oh, Lord, we in trouble. Superman's in the building, back cat, whatever you want to call him, Jesus.
And look, if you're striving to be great, working towards it all day, and are tired of the BS rumors the basketball community propagates, subscribe for more. Otherwise, I'm gonna tell MJ that you spoke trash about him and he's gonna come after you. I'm kidding, MJ would never do that.
Yup, Jordan switched back to 23, and man, did he go off.
Finds Michael. The pull up. It's down for a three. Hello.
Well, Michael got the first good look and he drains the three and he ended up handling it hard away. That's why I think they have to stay more at home with him.
Michael has 5 already. Nick Anderson has that look like, uh-oh.
Jordan would go on and score 38 points. The Bulls would take game 2, and just like that, Jordan was back on his way to earning his invincibility, right? The Magic would win the series. Oh, this would be the first series in years that Jordan lost, going all the way back to 1990, and the headlines were harsh. Jordan Bulls lose Magic touch, going out with a whimper. MJ just didn't seem like MJ. All we know is after 1990, he won everything until that point, and he took it personally. The 1995-96 season was one of revenge. During the 1995 summer, you might remember a certain movie about a realistic basketball game between the Looney Tunes and Monstars. Well, on that set of the movie, they built an entire full court so Jordan could get his workouts in. He was hell-bent on returning to basketball shape, but this time, he kept a little bit more size on his body. Pause! To use more of the post-game, bump defenders, hit fadeaways, the Bulls were out for blood. And that season, they achieved the greatest single-season record to that point, 72-10. Jordan averaged 30.4 points, shot 50% from the field, 43% from 3, led the league in scoring for the 8th time, all while wearing number 23. MJ was back, but he wasn't really back until they overcame their past failures, which leads us to
the start of piece number 3. Jordan wanted to prove a point, leading to the one night.
In the playoffs, the Bulls would meet the Magic again, this time in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Magic wanted to make up for their finals loss last year, and the Bulls wanted to prove that they were the better team, retooled with Dennis Rodman, and finally with an in-shape league MVP, Michael Jordan. The series starts and the Bulls come out swinging, winning by 38 points. Jordan scores 35 the next game, the Bulls win a close game, then the next, and the Bulls are on the verge of sweeping the Magic. Kind of unexpected considering that people thought it was going to be a really good series. But then came the one night forgotten about by many, but not by the players. On May 27, 1996, Game 4 starts, and the Magic get off to a good start, leading by 8 at the end of the first, despite Jordan making his first 5 shots. This was not a Magic team accepting defeat, but Jordan was on a mission, making tough shots like this.
And you know that Michael is enjoying this. He's back at the scene of his biggest playoff miscues here in Orlando a year ago, and you know that he is using it as a positive.
He had 37 points heading into the last 5 minutes of the game. He hits this jumper to make it 100-91, a 9-point lead with a minute and a half left, a dagger of sorts. He has 45 points and gets fouled at the end of the game. Darnell Armstrong, who was on the Magic, recaps it the best.
Never forget this, and you can go back and look at the stat sheet. And they were just, they was Horace Grant. Horace couldn't do nothing, put his head down and just laugh. It was on the free throw line right in front of us. Jordan, Scotty was talking shit. Boy, Jordan had 2 free throws at the end of the game and missed the second one on purpose. And we was like, what the done, you know? Somebody said, look at the scoreboard. He left 45 on the scoreboard. You know Jordan petty in a motherfucker.
Michael Jordan missed both free throws at the end of the game to leave 45 points on the board in a closeout game to show the Magic that 45 really could be special. 23 was 45, and the Magic players received a message that was 1 year in the making, a message to the rest of the players in the league that the invincible Jordan was back.
But what if I told you this was all part of Jordan's plan to remotivate himself?
You see, Jordan was a creature that rose to a challenge. It's why there are so many players who try to avoid trash talking him. To Jordan, his mystique, his image as Black Jesus, all these things matter too. Like Reggie Miller said,
I remember him walking off the court. He was like, don't ever talk trash to Black Jesus. And that's when I stopped referring to him as Michael Jordan, and I always refer to him either as Jordan, Black Jesus,
or that black cat.
But Jordan knew that he was driven by this.
So much so that he would make up trash talk that his opponent said to him.
On March 19th, 1993, a rookie LeBradford Smith scored a career-high 37 points against the Bulls. He just went off against Jordan, who couldn't stop him. At the end of the game, he sarcastically said, "Nice game, Mike." Jordan had 25 and the win, but it didn't matter. Jordan was pissed. The Bullets and Bulls were going to face off the very next day. Now, Jordan's teammate Purdue said that everyone knew that Jordan was locked in, that he was going to try to score that many points in a half. And MJ came out on fire, bucket after bucket in every way possible. He scored 36 points in the first half. God damn! Jordan would finish the game with 47 points and the 25-point win. LeBradford with only 15. But the weird thing is, people check the archives for any quote from LeBradford following his career high. Reporters desperately want a soundbite because he had achieved this against MJ, the most used name in the media for views. Yeah, that was their equivalent, like using LeBron to Curry in a YouTube headline today. But everything LeBradford said was pretty humble. It just doesn't make any sense until you realize that Jordan admitted years later that LeBradford never actually said anything to him. Yeah, the entire reason that Jordan went off was a fabrication in Jordan's mind, just to give him an edge. Motivation for their back-to-back against one of the worst teams in the league. That's psychotic. What? Jordan knew that he wasn't ready for the NBA in 1995. He knew that he was putting his image and reputation on the line. But he had the confidence in himself that if it didn't work out, he would come back 10 times stronger. That 95-96 season was the best in NBA history until the 2016 Warriors. And to this day, that 95-96 Bulls team is considered by many to be the greatest Jordan team, which is saying a lot. That entire roster was motivated by that loss against the Magic, and Jordan was motivated to be a better version of number 23. So missing on purpose was really the cherry on top. It was a signal to the world that Jordan was back and that you just couldn't beat him.
This Jordan video was really fun to make, and hopefully you enjoyed some of the cinematic sequences for his storytelling. I'm just trying to give you all the quality that you deserve.
The only notification watch out goes to Big Wiggy, who is just as consistent as MJ. Appreciate you.
And if you're tired of the BS rumors, here's a video you have to see. It's your boy MJ, we out, and we vibe.
Game on the line, who would take the last shot?
Me. That's a dumb question. Me.